I flew 12 hours across the ocean to see my mom. The kind of trip you plan weeks in advance, counting down the days with excitement and exhaustion already baked in. The flight had been long, noisy, and sleepless, and by the time I landed, I was running on airplane coffee and the remnants of a crushed chocolate croissant from Charles de Gaulle. But all that fatigue vanished the moment I stood in front of my childhood home. The house that smelled like Sunday dinners and safety. The house that was supposed to hold every version of my past and realized something was very, very wrong. The door opened, but it wasn't my mom who greeted me. A stranger stood there, holding the doorknob like it belonged to her. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone polite but flat, the way people speak when they want you gone. "I'm here to see my mom," I said, my voice light, friendly. "She lives here." The woman blinked once. "I live here," she replied evenly. "I don't know your mom." My smile faltered. I thought maybe I'd gotten the wrong address, but that was impossible. I'd grown up in this house. I could have found it blindfolded. "You must be mistaken," I said, the words coming out sharper than intended. "This is my mother's home." She shook her head. "I've lived here for 7 months." She said it so matter-of-factly that, for a moment, my brain couldn't keep up. I stared past her into the hallway, catching glimpses of furniture that didn't belong. Walls painted in colors my mother would have hated. "I think you're in my mom's house," I said, and the woman's eyebrow arched slightly, like I'd just asked her to trade lives for fun. "Who's your mom?" she asked. I gave her my mother's name. Nothing. No flicker of recognition, no apology. Just that same steady look. Never heard of her. The quiet between us stretched tight. "I grew up here." I tried again. "I know every inch of this place." Her expression didn't change. "Maybe you've got the wrong address." I almost laughed because the absurdity was too much. "No," I said firmly. "This is the right one." But she was already closing the door. Gently but with finality, the kind of soft closure that feels louder than a slam. I stood there on the porch, suitcase beside me, clutching a bag of gifts I'd brought for my mom, chocolates from Paris, a silk scarf, little tokens of love that suddenly felt like props in a play I didn't understand. The air felt colder now. My pulse thudded in my ears. I pulled out my phone and called my mother. Her voice came through cheerful, normal, to normal. "Hi, sweetheart. Are you on your way?" she said. "Mom," I said carefully, "did you move?" A small laugh. "No, I didn't move. I'm home, waiting for you." My fingers went cold around the phone. "You're at home?" I repeated. "Yes. Where else would I be?" she said. I glanced up at the house, the same brass numbers, the same crack in the paint by the doorbell, felt the world tilt slightly off its axis. "Okay," I said slowly, "we'll circle back to that." I hung up before my panic could spill out in words I couldn't take back. I knocked again, harder this time. The same woman opened the door, her expression now edging toward irritation. "Yes. Who are you renting this place from?" I asked. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "The landlord." "And who's that?" I pressed. "I don't have to tell you that," she said, and there was no malice in her tone, just finality. The kind of tone that tells you no matter what you say, this conversation is over. She shut the door again. I stood there a moment longer, memorizing every unchanged detail, the brass numbers, the chipped paint, the little scratch beside the doorbell where Mom once hung a wreath that was too heavy. Everything looked the same, yet nothing was. I turned, walked back to my car, and sat there staring at the house that wasn't ours anymore. My mother's voice replayed in my head, calm, steady, unaware. Either she'd lost her mind or there was something much bigger going on. I took a deep breath, unlocked my phone, and called again. Mom, I said when she answered, can you text me your address? My address, she repeated, confused. Why do you need it? Just to make sure I'm heading to the right place. She chuckled, the sound light and distant. It hasn't changed, she said, and then recited an address that stopped me cold. It wasn't this street. Not even close. A part of town I'd never heard her mention. I'll be there soon, I said, and hung up before she could ask why I sounded like I'd just seen a ghost. I called an Uber. The driver didn't talk, which was a blessing. The city passed by in a blur, glass towers fading into cracked sidewalks. Clean streets turning into ones lined with pawn shops and flickering neon. The air changed too. It smelled different here, older, worn down. When we stopped, I checked the address twice. A gray building loomed ahead, tall and tired, with lights that buzzed instead of glowed. My throat tightened. This couldn't be right, but it was. I climbed the stairs, each step creaking beneath my weight, the air thick with fried food and something metallic. The hallway stretched long and dim, doors lined like silent witnesses. I knocked, and when the door opened, my breath caught. My mom stood there, smaller, thinner, older than I remembered. Inside a one-room apartment that barely fit a bed, a table, and two mismatched chairs. A hot plate sat on the counter like it was pretending to be a kitchen. What is this place? I blurted. She looked at me like I'd asked why the sky was blue. This is my apartment. Why are you living here? I asked. Because you told me to, she said, her voice calm, matter of fact. My heart skipped. What are you talking about? She frowned. You told your brother and sister to handle it. You said we needed to rent the house. You said I'd be better here. I stared at her. No, I didn't. Course you did. You sent messages. She reached for her phone, opened WhatsApp, and handed it to me. I stared at the screen. My face was there, my photo, my name, but not my number. The messages were short, clipped, nothing like me. It's better if they handle the rental. Don't worry about the details. It's already arranged. This isn't me, I said. This isn't my account. She frowned deeper. What do you mean? That's your picture. Someone's pretending to be me, I said. Who helped you set up WhatsApp? She hesitated. Your brother and sister. Last year, I couldn't get it to work, so they fixed it. They said this was you. My chest went cold. And you believed them? Why wouldn't I? She asked softly. They were here. I thought they were helping. They told you I wanted you out of the house. They said you didn't want to talk about it, that you'd made up your mind. I shook my head. Mom, I never said that. She looked at me for a long, quiet moment. Then she whispered, I thought you didn't care anymore. That you'd changed. I took her hand. I didn't change, I said. They did. Her phone buzzed then, lighting up with a new message from the fake me. Things here in France are expensive. I hope you understand. We both stared at it. My stomach dropped. Don't reply, I said. She nodded. The three dots appeared, then vanished. The silence that followed was heavy. I thought I'd uncover the truth, but I was wrong. This was just the beginning. The next morning felt like waking up inside someone else's life. I sat on the edge of the bed in my mom's small apartment, staring at the peeling wallpaper and the single window that looked out onto a cracked courtyard. The air was thick with the smell of fried onions from another unit. My mom moved slowly around the room, folding clothes that didn't need folding, pretending she wasn't watching me. I hadn't slept much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that stranger opening the door of our house, calm and unapologetic, like she truly belonged there. Mom, I said finally, breaking the silence, I need to ask you something. She turned, her face cautious. When did you move out? She frowned, thinking, around 7 months ago. Your brother said that was when the new tenants were moving in. 7 months. The same amount of time the woman said she'd lived there. And you never talked to me about it? I asked. She sighed. I thought we did. You messaged me so often about how we should rent it, how you'd take care of everything from France. My stomach twisted. I walked over, sat across from her at the small table, and picked up her phone again. The fake chat was still open. The messages weren't random, they were carefully crafted. Like someone had studied the way I talked and stripped it of all warmth. Every line sounded calculated. Asterisk, trust them. They'll handle it. It's the practical thing to do. France is expensive. Asterisk, I felt my jaw tighten. Mom, when was the last time you actually talked to Mimi on a call? She hesitated. Maybe a year ago. After that, we mostly texted. Except you weren't texting me, I said. You were talking to a ghost wearing my face. She looked down, her hands twisting the edge of a dish towel. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid, I said, softer. You trusted the wrong people. She gave a small, sad smile. But they're your brother and sister. I never thought. She trailed off. Neither did I. The rest of the day blurred. Between calls to the phone company and long, frustrating conversations with WhatsApp support, the truth started to come together piece by piece. Someone, most likely my siblings, had created a new account using my name and photo, then changed the number on my mom's phone to match it. They'd manipulated her slowly, like boiling water, warming degree by degree, until you don't realize you're burning. By afternoon, I'd found a lawyer. I wasn't sure yet if I wanted justice or revenge, but I needed clarity. The lawyer's office was downtown, tucked between a pharmacy and an old bookstore. Inside, it smelled faintly of paper, dust, and burnt coffee. The lawyer, a calm, middle-aged man with tired eyes, listened patiently as I laid out the story. When I finished, he nodded, steepling his fingers. I've seen worse, he said. But this is serious. Forgery, unauthorized rental, misrepresentation. If your siblings did this, it's not a misunderstanding. It's fraud. He slid a folder toward me. Can you get a copy of the lease? I can try, I said. My mom had mentioned the renters paid by bank transfer. That meant there were records. Do that, he said. And bring your mother next time. We'll verify her statements too. On the way back, the city felt different, grayer, heavier. I stopped by a cafe for coffee I didn't taste and scrolled through old messages from my real account, wondering when exactly my siblings had decided to erase me from my own family. It wasn't sudden. It never is. Betrayal grows slowly, like mold behind wallpaper. When I returned to my mom's apartment, she was sitting quietly, her eyes red. I found some papers, she said, pushing a stack across the table. Rent receipts, printed messages, a copy of the lease. My stomach dropped when I saw the signature. My name written in looping, unfamiliar handwriting. I didn't even need to compare it. That's not me, I said immediately. I never signed this. My mom's fingers trembled. I knew something felt wrong, she whispered. But they showed me the messages and said you'd sent them. I thought maybe you'd just forgotten. I took a picture of everything and sent it to the lawyer. 10 minutes later, he called back. The account receiving rent payments belongs to your sister, he said flatly. That's where we start. It felt like ice spreading through my veins. What now? We call them in, he said. You and your mother together. You'll want witnesses, documents, and a clear head. No shouting. I promised him I'd try, but I already knew that was a lie. The next 48 hours crawled by. My mom barely spoke. I didn't blame her. She looked like someone whose world had been rewritten while she slept. When the meeting day came, we went to my sister's house. It was bright, perfect, full of expensive furniture paid for, I realized, with rent money that should never have left our home. My sister stood by the counter, arms crossed. My brother sat at the table, scrolling through his phone like we were an inconvenience. We were managing things for Mom, my sister said when I laid the papers down. She didn't need all that space. That's not the issue, I said evenly. The issue is you used my name to do it. My brother finally looked up. We thought you wouldn't care, he said. You don't even live here anymore. I gave a short, humorless laugh. That's your defense. That I moved away, so fraud's fine. My mom's voice cut through the tension, trembling but steady. You will return the rent money, all of it. My sister's jaw tightened. It's not that simple. Why not? I asked. Because, my brother said after a pause, we don't have it anymore. The room froze. What do you mean you don't have it? I asked quietly. My sister looked down. We gave it to Dad. The words hit like a slap. Dad, I repeated. You mean him? The same man who made my childhood a living nightmare? My mom's face drained of color. Why would you do that? She whispered. He needed help, my sister said quickly. His business went under. He's drowning in debt. I let out a laugh, sharp and bitter. So, you forged my signature, kicked Mom out of her own home, and rented it out to bail out the man who made us miserable. Neither of them spoke. My mother's voice shook. You lied to me for months. I thought you were protecting me from her, she said, gesturing toward me. But you were protecting him. He's our father, my sister said. We couldn't just let him sink. You didn't just let him sink, I said coldly. You threw Mom overboard to build him a raft. A brother's face went red. You don't understand. Oh, I said. I understand perfectly. You think loyalty excuses everything. But it doesn't. The conversation spiraled after that, accusations, denials, tears that felt rehearsed. But underneath it all, I saw it clearly now. They'd chosen him over her, again. The lawyer's warning echoed in my head, keep your head clear. So I did. I told them what the lawyer told me to say, that we had proof, witnesses, and options. Court, police, or repayment. Their choice. My sister swallowed hard. We'll pay it back, she said finally. Every cent. You don't have it? I reminded her. Then it'll come from us, my brother said. Monthly payments. My mom nodded once, plus damages. They didn't argue. Not anymore. They just looked smaller. I gathered the papers, the fake lease, the evidence, and left. As we stepped outside, my mom let out a shaky breath. I can't believe they did this, she whispered. I can, I said, because I've seen it before, and I had. I'd seen what people can do when they think rewriting the story makes them the hero. But this time, the story wasn't theirs to tell.